can reach the stars, I pull one down for you, shine it on my heart, so you could see the truth. And let love inside, then bring me to you. But for now I heard it's only in my dream that I can change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love would really something good, baby, if I could change the world.
Congratulations to TownHall Europe. I'm very glad that finally the project starts.
You're making history today, and I think you know it.
This new initiative emphasizes yet again your legitimate desire to contribute to an open and constructive dialogue between leaders and citizens from all over the world.
You have succeeded in integrating innovative technology into a project that will benefit and influence the performance of many European projects and the daily lives of ordinary people.
Listening to different voices, combining and connecting them allows adaptive creativity and change to emerge through interactions.
We have to strengthen the future generations of young Europeans.
Building bridges rather than putting up walls.
Women and men, any mother tongue and religion, should feel part of the motion.
Because we have to find a way to go out of our bubble.
A desire to take on the biggest challenges with positive solutions.
Empower women and minorities and all sorts of groups.
New generation are more agile and outspoken than before and are more willing to be the positive change they are willing to see.
In which Europe do we want to live? Which role can it play in the world?
The Leadership Center must focus on that.
A place where we can discuss and help grow a well-being economy for all.
If we do that, I can assure you that things in Europe will look very different.
I hope you will bring wonderful ideas and people together to make Europe a better place.
I look forward to exchanging ideas, learning from others, and seeing all that develops from this beautiful endeavor.
And you know, we are here for everything that you need.
And we wish you a very happy evening.
So guys, well done, and go get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, welcome to TownHall Europe, the Davignon Center for New Leadership. So TownHall Europe is supposed to be a prestigious place where decision makers meet citizens. We'll come back to the meaning of the word Davignon, is a more experienced millennial amongst us. And new leadership for us means how can we develop indeed tools and capabilities for a new generation of leaders to be better leaders in today's volatile world. But new leadership for us also means responsible citizenship, because we all have a responsibility in our own communities. Well, a special welcome to our president, Etienne Stevie Davignon. Some of his family and friends are present here. Welcome to all of you. We're delighted really that over 1,000 people have registered to take place in the various activities, opening activities that we organize this week. And I have to say, the original name of this place was European Town Hall. It's perhaps a small difference, but when we thought of the abbreviation ET, we thought, perhaps it's not the best one. Having said that, there were a number of similarities that we saw as well. I mean, the whole idea of doing something different, doing something hybrid, perhaps a bit strange, something which cannot be put on the one label or category, which is really what we're trying to do here. On the one hand, it's an event space, but it's also a leadership center. It's open to political leaders and company chiefs, but equally to citizens and NGOs. We're very proud to be in Brussels and in Belgium, but we also want to reach out to the rest of the world through the technology, and you'll see that later on, with people from up to 24 places in the world who can join us remotely. We want to, of course, bring together different points of view and political convictions. We'll leave out the extremists, I think. And of course, we bring together younger generations as well as the more wise generations. So in short, TownHall Europe is really for all those wanting to contribute to a better world and to better leadership around the world and to helping responsible citizenship initiatives blossom everywhere. Our genuine belief is really that to address today's challenges, one needs multi-stakeholder and multidisciplinary approaches. And we're very happy Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, wrote us a nice message yesterday. And he wrote, "Perhaps the most precious and increasingly scarce resource in our world today is dialogue. I welcome your focus on bringing people together to broaden understanding, share ideas, and find common ground." So how do we at TownHall Europe want to do that, and how can you help? So as with my cap on as CAO, the Chief Advertising Officer, I can give a few suggestions. The first one is rent the venue. It's a splendid venue, daylight, when there is daylight, nice location, high-tech, etc., but also you'll be contributing to costs of this place, which will allow us, of course, to kind of support other leadership initiatives that we want to develop. Support those leadership initiatives as well. We'll be organizing trainings, mentoring programs, discussions of all kinds, etc. I think, as you will all agree, leadership is in short supply in today's world, so we need to join forces to do what we can there. And finally, I'm also delighted to say that Friends of Europe will organize with a number of partners Funky Fridays. You may guess it will take place on Fridays. And the whole idea is basically to do something different there, to not kind of be doing something in the Brussels bubble, but to really open it up, to have an open, collaborative space. So some of the key words for us is open space, collaborative, capacity building, authentic voices, leadership tools and knowledges, sustainability, fairness, that kind of stuff. So it's a place really where we're going to work with a whole series of partners to have an open doors policy to, brainstorm and work together on some of the challenges facing us all. So don't hesitate. If you have any suggestions, you want to be involved one way or another, leave your business cards at the entrance or contact any of the colleagues here. Just a final word on the building. I have to say, we can't be held responsible for the golden looks at the entrance. It's not really our choice, but of course we are happy to be in this very sustainable building. And I can also tell you, we did not quite find this floor as finished as it is now. So I need to thank a number of people. First of all, I need to thank a number of people for their trust, because you see at the entrance as well in the lounge there, you see the names of about 30 partners who've put in a bit of money to make this possible. And I have to say, they put in money at the time that we had a vague idea, but we didn't really know how to do it. So we're really grateful for these people to give us that trust, because without them, it would not have been possible. We can't list them all. They've been projected on the screens already before, and we will continue to project them. You can see them all listed there as well. But really, a sincere thanks to all of you, because it wouldn't otherwise have been possible. And we were very delighted also to see that Jacques Delors was one of the first ones who committed his support to this initiative. So I think we're very grateful for Jacques Delors as well. I want to thank the partners of tonight's evening as well, the audiovisual services of Microson, and the catering today is being taken care of by Choux de Bruxelles. And then finally, I want to thank all those who made TownHall Europe possible. And that goes from colleagues to partners to subcontractors. There are really too many people to single anyone out. So our sincere thanks to all of them. And perhaps we'll have a look at the list of people. And the making of.
Put your stuff on the market and make $1 million too.
Unchain my heart, baby, let me be. Unchain my heart, 'cause you don't care about me. You got me sewn up like a pillowcase, but you let my love go to waste. So unchain my heart, set me free.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we say something further about this guy called Stevie Davignon, and to hear from him, we want to give you some food for thought as well tonight. So I first would like to pass the microphone to one of our young leaders and Belgian journalist Wouter Verschelden and his guests.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're very excited to host with you our very first town hall. And we want to talk to you 20 minutes about a very interesting generation that Geert already mentioned, millennials. Millennials, if I look before me here, I see they're represented here in very numerous numbers. But in our panel, we have two splendid people from that generation. We have Asmat, who is the founder of the Young Arab Voices and who brought together over 100,000 people to be the voice of that generation. And we have Colombe, who is the co-founder of Volt, a new European movement, so a politician and an activist, if I would say. And I want to begin with you, Asmat. Can you define for us what millennials stand for, what that generation is?
Thank you so much, Walter. Yeah, who uses Google here? Raise your hands. Everybody. Okay. So if you go to Google and you write millennials are, have a look. Quite optimistic, right? It's like a suicide list.
All right, thank you, Asmat. So, Colombe, I want to go to you because you are setting your first steps in politics as a millennial. How do you manage that? And what is it different in politics as a millennial?
So I think, so first of all, thank you for having me. Second, I think we just expect more. Yeah. So the reason for which I didn't just join a French party was because I knew that as a young person and as a woman, I wouldn't necessarily have had a voice. I wouldn't have been able to make decisions, propose policies, or even candidate for an election. And I think that my generation and the ones that are older and younger as well are just not willing to accept this anymore.
Okay, good. That's a good starting point. So, ladies and gentlemen, a town hall, that means you need to participate. And we also have an online panel, so I'm going to have to ask you to move a little bit, because right behind you there are right now people connected with us and following the debate, and they'll be participating in what we should consider as a first real test of this technology. So maybe just a little bit more right here so we can actually see them. Thank you, guys. So we're going to fire away a lot of questions. Hello, members there. Hi.
Hello.
You guys can participate. You can actually vote on certain things. And I want people here in our town hall also to vote with their hands, because we're going to ask you a lot of questions and then follow up on debate. And the first one is actually a very basic question. Is democracy going to win in the long run? Yes or no? So anyone who agrees, raise your hand. Okay, and our online panel, actually nobody, oh, there's one who disagrees. Okay, could we go to Kaja? You disagree? Khadija? You need to unmute.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi. So why do you think...
democracy...
Go ahead.
Democracy is still a dream for so many countries around the world. And it's a dream because it's not something that you can do by having people come around and to convince them about the goodness or the good positive effects of having a democracy in the world. Therefore, if people around the world coming from different countries do not come together hand in hand to agree upon an effective plan to make that democracy actually come to life, I don't think it will exist in the future, especially by taking into consideration the different wars that take place around the world and the different victims that are victims of the wrong political decisions.
Okay.
So
Great.
dream, but I don't think it will exist in the long run.
Okay. Well, the good news is that most of us actually agree. But the next one is already diving in a little bit deeper. Are the leaders of today representing every generation? Do I feel like I have a voice? I'm very curious what the online panel will say. And what does the floor here say? Do we have a mic on the floor here. I'm not sure if Damendra is...
I'm here,
okay.
right at the back, you
So
can't see me.
If anyone in the audience wants to jump in, but first raise your hands if you agree you feel represented by... You want to jump in? Okay, go ahead.
So, well, it's an interesting question to think about if the leaders of today are representing my voice as a young person. And yes, I think there is representation. It's not enough that I feel that I have a voice. I think the most important thing that my voice is heard and being taken seriously. So, for example, what we've been doing at the Annalene Foundation with the Young Mediterranean Voices was to transform debate to action by bringing young people to sit with senior leaders and policymakers and to give their authentic voice and their ideas about how they want things to be run. So I may have a voice, but I want it to be heard and taken seriously. And then it doesn't really matter if the person in power is as old as I am in my age, but it's really important that they have an idea of what I stand for and that they take this further.
Most of our panel disagree, so is actually on your side. So, next one, and I want to vote from the floor here. Are Europe and its political system running just fine right now? Can you raise your hand if you believe that? Do we have anyone? Yes, I see a hand there. Damendra, could you lead us to
Where was the hand?
Because that's the single...
1 second. Okay.
Yeah, you can jump in. Yeah, go ahead. Okay,
of course, it's very clear that the European system is not completely perfect. But I think that it's one of the best systems we can have for the moment. And of course, it has been creating great things in Europe by now, but it has many challenges ahead. So therefore, I would like to be optimistic that we have a system which can deliver and is delivering and will deliver better.
Okay, Colombe.
Okay.
So it has created great things. Until now, this I agree. But this doesn't mean that it couldn't run better or that it shouldn't run better. A very simple example. Which one of you are you going to vote in the European elections? Raise your hands. Amazing. Wonderful. So most of you are going to vote. Do you know that the people that you will elect can't actually propose legislative initiatives? So the people that represent you won't actually be able to fully represent you. For me, this is not a system that democratically runs fine. Okay. To give the parliament the right of legislative initiative.
Okay, good. Next question. And this is an interesting one. Do you feel connected with European leaders and Jean-Claude Juncker and his team? Can we just move a little bit so we can see the online panel? Yeah, thank you. So raise hands. Who is on Juncker's team here? A bit higher, because I can't see them. Okay, sorry, yeah. Can we actually, can we have somebody who is with the majority maybe, who wants to make a case?
Gentlemen, you had your hand up quite firmly. Let me go to you. 1 second. Say who you are.
Yeah, by coincidence, I spoke to somebody from the cabinet just today. I mean, you can reach these people very easily without any problem. So why should you complain? They are reachable, they are accessible, and you can find their...
Say who you are.
I'm Lano from another think tank, so I'm part of the Brussels bubble.
Yes, you are.
But
okay,
their phone numbers are all on the internet,
okay,
so you can all reach them.
Great. We want to go to the online panel. Somebody who disagrees. I think Maria. Maria, can we go to you?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
So I mainly disagree because I come from Greece, and usually in Greece, the rule is that politicians are corrupted and that politicians only care about their voters only when elections are looming. So right now, elections are looming. So yeah, maybe right now you could reach out to someone, which is very rare, but it could happen. But generally, especially with European parliamentarians, in Greece, it's not that easy at all to reach out to them, discuss with them, talk about your views and the future you dream of Europe. It's very ideal for this to happen in Greece. I don't know what happens. It might not be the case for the rest of Europe, but for me personally, and I think for many people, for many young Greeks, we cannot feel connected at all with the European parliamentarians.
All right, thank
and
you.
that will be saving our future.
That's very clear.
So
one more from the room?
Yeah, please, because it's generated a lot of attention. There's a lot of people with their hands up who are
Okay,
desperate. Well,
okay.
we can't come to all of you, but I'll try and pick as many as we can so that we don't disrupt the flow.
Do one more here.
Say who you are.
My name's Leia. I'm from WWF European Policy Office. To come back to the last question, I do not think that it's very easy to gain access to President Juncker. I work for an international charity, and we have tried to set up meetings with President Juncker and his team across the last 4 years, and we've yet to be able to be granted a meeting with him, and we have many issues that we'd like to raise, from sustainable finance to climate and energy to biodiversity. It is incredibly difficult, and we do not feel that we are able to gain access to the higher echelons of European democracy. And to come back to the second question, I do not feel represented, particularly at the EU level. Within European Parliament, the amount of ethnic minorities either working there as elected MEPs or as advisors is incredibly small. I spoke to someone last week who literally said to me, it was someone who was here on a visit from on a USA exchange program of the EU, someone who said to me, literally, you were the first person who is black who I've met here, and I was just in European Parliament for a meeting with an MEP. And that speaks to the fact that our institutions are not reflective of the makeup of Europe at the moment. And I think that is a very big issue.
Thank you very much.
That's a very clear answer. Okay, we're going to go. We need to move on. Again, I want to go back to the whole millennial question. What should we do first to bring in that young generation? There are 4 answers here, so I want to have your vote, and I want to have the online vote, but we're going to have them one by one, and whenever you feel you want to choose one of these 4, you raise your hand. So the first one is, we need a different kind of politics. Okay, we have a hand here. We need a different kind of politicians. A few. We need a different kind of media coverage. Whoa, that's a lot. Okay, and then we need a different kind of young people. There's someone there. Okay, so this is interesting. Going to get a lot of debate. Do you want to jump in?
Yes,
Okay.
I would. I was surprised to see few hands up when we said that we need a different kind of politics, because I think we do need a different kind of politics, because as Maria said, she feels disconnected. I feel disconnected, and many, many young people who don't live in the Brussels bubble, let's call it this way, are not connected at all. And we need to realize that young people have an appetite for mobility, for cross-cultural exchange, and they are willing to do that. So raise your hand if you think that dialogue between policymakers and young people would help to remove these stereotypes about millennials. So you saw we had a very long list of negative stereotypes about millennials, but it can be just fixed by having a dialogue. And this dialogue is not going to happen one way. It has to be a 2-way. So this is why I think we need a different type of politics that is pushing people to have dialogue and to listen, than to just have a very centered 1-way kind of communication. Because dialogue is not listening, it's actually having a conversation. It's building on each other.
Thank you. There were a lot of hands on media, so Damendra, if you could find someone who wants to comment on the media aspect.
You've already had one shot.
Yeah.
Let me go to the back, because there's a lot of shy people at the back here. Who had your hand up about the media? Don't be shy now, for goodness sake. One of you.
Is there anyone media on the online panel?
Really? Gentleman here at the back.
Okay, well, Damendra, we're going to first go to Nahid, who is on the online panel, who also said media. I want to hear you.
Okay.
Nahid?
I will then come to you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me the chance. Actually, I believe that we need a different kind of coverage for the young people, because I believe that in this generation, we have so many young people who are doing great things within Europe or outside Europe, but these young generation are not being covered in media. It's all things that challenges, I'm sorry to say this, but stupid challenges that are being taken by this young kids, and they're doing it in Facebook, and this is what is being considered as news about young generations.
Right.
Instead of showing how we are taking care of how young generations are being considered in the politics, and how we're taking new roles at universities and in politics. And this is I guess wrong view of us in the media.
Yeah.
And I think this is very important to be considered.
Right. So
I
wrong
believe
view.
from my point of view.
Okay, wrong view of millennials. Is that? Do we have a follow up there?
I do. Here's a gentleman here at the back. There you go. Say who you are and what your view is.
Okay, I'm Adel Gamal. I'm Secretary General of ERA, which is actually the Open Energy Research Alliance. There's just one word. I would say I'm very frustrated on the fact that media generally tend to have a very instant approach and analysis of things. And we are fighting on long-term issues and long-term trends. And what we do absolutely need is more, I would say, distance and analysis. And this is really missing.
So more thoughtfulness in their approach to the analysis. Okay, there we go. Back over to you.
Yeah, super quickly on the first, second, and third point. I think we need a different kind of politics. And to go back to the first point we made about having your voices heard. You know, we have new technology. We can sit in this room that actually enable you as a citizen and would enable millennials to participate in the first place. So, for example, having softwares online for the European Parliament where citizens can comment before a bill is passed. It enables everyone to participate and to have your voices heard. On the last point, do we need a different kind of young people? No, no, and no. You can see my generation, and through Vote you can see it, actually standing up and being ready to fight for what we believe in, getting into politics, whether it's, you know, being an activist, being a youth leader, or a politician, but being ready to fight regardless of stereotypes. What I would argue is we need a different type of older generation that lets us have a voice in the first place and listens to us instead of asking this question.
All right, great. Next one, and that actually builds on this case, which is, how do you think you can have impact? I want to have a one-word answer from our online panel and then a couple of one-word answers here from the floor, Damendra. How do you think you can have an impact? I see the word engage there. Ladies, if you want to jump in. You need to think, okay. I see vote, I see voice. Is there anyone from
Okay, I'm going to approach somebody.
Yeah, you do.
I'm going to...
Okay.
You're looking away, I know. You're thinking, why has he come to me? But I have. What's your one-word impact?
I read more collaboration, vote again there, change the system. That's actually 3 words.
Love.
Okay. Love, okay.
We need to do things with love in life.
I totally agree with you.
So
Yeah, jump in here, okay.
I'll say...
Love.
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
For me, it's 2 words. It's youth advocacy.
Okay. Next one. What should we change? Now we have 30 characters. And again, I want to have some answers from the floor as well, but short ones. There's a gentleman here in the front.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
making
and
my
there's
way
one
over
more.
to you. Please do say who you are.
I am Pedro Ortun. I am a retired commission official in which I have worked for 30 years and 40 years on European affairs. And
Short,
we
sir.
should change. You should force nicely the member states to include in secondary schools and in all faculties, universities, and so on, education on European affairs, on European institutions, European policy. It should be an obligation. Education is not a competence, direct competence, or exclusive, or even shared competence of the Union, but that is the only long-term solution in my view.
Okay. I want to go to our online panel real quick, because I see somebody who says transparency and corruption. Irene, can we hear from you?
Yes, hello everyone. To be perfectly honest, I believe, and as Maria said before, because I come from Greece as well, I see that we, the young people, are not heard because the governments that do govern, that we have chosen, unfortunately, for our parliament, do not really take into consideration our needs because they were somehow corrupted and were merely looking after themselves and not generally and genuinely after their own people and what they want. They just wanted to become wealthier, and now we're left with their bad choices, the unemployment rates, the long taxes. And I think that if we made better choices for transparent politicians, I think all this would have somehow been prevented. And this is a change that I think almost everyone could agree to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're going to go to our final question of the town hall tonight, and that is, actually to leave you with a good sentiment here in this debate. Is there one reason, give us one reason to be extremely optimistic about the EU? Yeah, jump in, yeah, and then people can think on the floor.
Well, I come from Egypt, and one reason I could be very optimistic about the EU is that there is a program called Erasmus Plus Virtual Exchange, where I actually could do an online virtual exchange when I am in my home country, Egypt, without having to go through the hassle of visas and papers and questions, and I could still discuss and talk to people who come from anywhere in Europe and engage with them in debate. And for this only, I could just discover how much similarities are between the European youth and youth from very different regions around the world. And it's only by that I could be very optimistic, because I see that the next generations are very understanding and open, and they have positive stereotypes rather than the negative ones, and they're actually very willing to collaborate. Nobody's in their own bubble anymore. Now, the connectivity has gone crazy. Like, look how many people from different countries are here with us. So this, I don't think I would have ever imagined just 10 years ago that it would exist.
There's one person from the floor, yeah?
Great. I was going to come over to you, actually to both of you. So, yeah, you can both have a shot, please.
Sure.
Let's say who you are.
I'm Eva, I'm working for Covestro. I just wanted to drop a sentence, meaning our generation shouldn't take it for granted that we can travel so freely, because talking to other people, they just started to take it for granted. And we should keep on working for it. And
One reason to be optimistic. What about you? Say who you are.
Hi, I'm Cassandra. I'm currently working at Euro. More so about the one word would be equity. I went to an event today, actually, that was talking about intergenerational equity particularly. And that within itself is a long debate, but that is, I guess, my 2 words more so than a 1 word, but yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll take 2 words from our wall there, which is millennials care. And then maybe from you, Colombe, a final word on this?
So for me, it's the fact that so many people are actually willing to fight for what they believe in. So at Volt, we saw it. We have now almost 100 people that quit their jobs, studies, and so on, and that are actually willing to work for free ahead of the European elections to make sure that they share a vision of Europe which is more prosperous, more safe, and more inclusive. And this gives me hope for people that have actually, no material gain from it, that are willing to compromise everything for our future.
Okay, so this was it. Our first town hall. I want to thank the online panel. I want to thank my 2 experts here, and you on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Esmat. Thank you, Colombe. I think it's now time to call for our president. Ladies and gentlemen, may I just have a bit of attention? So, Stevie Davignon has been our president since 1999, which basically means I hope you feel another party coming later this year. But basically, to be the chief of staff at the age of 28, I believe, to one of the founding fathers of the EU, Paul-Henri Spaak, I think it was not an accident. We're not going to list his CV, but he has had, as you all know, I think, different responsibilities in international institutions, companies, non-profits. But the bottom line for us is he's always shown leadership and pragmatism, trying to inspire people and find consensus. And that's what it's all about, I think. I mean, I'll never forget a meeting, a dinner we had at some point in Paris. And, Paris people have a certain reputation from time to time. So especially when you're in a meeting with the foreign minister and a few CEOs and what have you, and suddenly comes in Stevie Davignon, and they all look like, Santa Claus has arrived. So that's one striking figure. But on the other hand, I also know that Stevie Davignon is somebody who really enjoys talking to taxi drivers, talking to young people, talking to the younger generations, because he's always thought that's absolutely essential. So I think it's been an honor and a privilege for all of us to be able to work with him for so many years, and he's never let us down, also in the difficult circumstances we've had. And that's also, I think, a characteristic of leadership. So without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to the President, and he can comment on the Centre, on what he's heard tonight, on anything that's a prerogative of the President. Stevie Davignon.
The first thing I would like to comment on is the title. Davignon Center for New Leadership. Is not that a contradiction? Well, maybe not. And then I will pick up a nice tradition that English speakers use. I'm going to tell you a joke which has nothing to do with the town hall, with Europe, with anything. But it's rather nice. So it's a businessman who's been abroad, and he spent nice 10 days, and he's at the airport, and suddenly he finds out that he's forgotten to buy a present for his wife. And so he thinks that homecoming will not be as welcome as he would like. And he's in Africa, and there's a market outside. He thinks, what should I do? I'm going to do something personal. And so he sees there's an array of very beautiful parrots. And there's a beautiful parrot with red, blue, absolutely outstanding. And so they would like to buy that parrot. And the guy says, fine, it's 200 euros. So suddenly he has to make an arbitrage in between his wish to be popular and the state of his finance. So he looks at the next one, which is not bad. And he says, well, maybe that one. Oh, he says, that one is 400 euros. Why is it 400 euros? Because he swears in 3 different languages. So he's very educated. And then there's a shabby parrot. Part of his wings don't. It's absolutely awful. He said, I will have that one. Oh, he said, that one is 700 euros. What does he do? Nothing. Can he speak? No. But why is it 700 euros? So the two other parrots call him president. So that's how you learn the trade. I think what I found so nice this evening was the passionate commitment of the people who were speaking. And that is something which exists since the start of the European integration. Europe and passion have always been linked when Europe works well. If you don't believe, don't start. Because the rationality in relation to what are the traditions, Europe is the contradiction of the traditions. And so you must be passionate and believe. And I like what was said. And I like the young people wanting to have a voice. But it's not enough to have a voice. You have to be heard. And to be heard, you have to be constant. The continuity of anything is absolutely essential. One seminar is nice, one commitment is nice, one answer to one question is nice, but what do you do afterwards? How do you keep it up? And how do you not get disappointed? The biggest alibi of paralysis is to say, we will not achieve it. We will try, but we know it won't work. It has to work. We have no other choice. The only interesting thing about this crazy debate about Brexit is that 27 countries have understood that it's not a good idea. That was the contagion of Brexit. When it started, they said, who will be next? Everybody has found out that you can't be next, how stupid it is. And here, what do we intend to do? And I would like to say 2 things. One, this center would not exist without the fact that Gerd Camille and his team believed that against all odds it was possible. So thank you, Gerd. This space is a contradiction of fatality. It should have not happened, and here we are. And the second is debate. We have so little debate. We have slogans, we have affirmations, but we don't have debate. And the only way in which to convince anybody is a conclusion of a debate. Authority does not create truth. Authority does not create followership. Debate does. And in the debate, everybody understands that he has to give a bit of what he would prefer to get the maximum of what he wants. And I think that should be the motto of our debates. How do we get the most of what we are looking for by having the biggest following we can have? And with that, have a nice evening.
My mama told me you will break my heart. You better run, boy, you better go far. And my daddy told me you're the girl that I need. But all you do is bring me down to my knees. I'm a good man, but you make me bad. You make me bad. Ooh, baby, I'm a good man, but you make me bad. You make me bad. You make me bad. Bring out the devil in me. Girl, your loving has got me crazy. You bring out the devil in me. I sold my soul to be with you, baby. You bring out the devil in me. Girl, your loving has got me crazy. You bring out the devil in me. I sold my soul to be with you, baby. Be with you, baby. Be with you, baby. Be with you, baby. Be with you, in the rain. To love you I would have to be insane. But there's nothing that I wouldn't do. I'm an angel, but I'm a devil with you. I'm a good man, but you make me bad. Ooh, baby, I'm a good man, but you make me bad. You make me bad. Bring out the devil in me. Yeah, your loving got me crazy. Bring out the devil in me. Bring out the devil in me. I sold my soul to be with you, baby. Bring out the devil in me.